Hello, everybody. Welcome to Silent Podcast, the place where everything but silent. I'm your host, Isaiah, hijacking or co-hosting with Gia Worthy on the I Don't Know About That podcast for the first time on YouTube as well. This is usually just audio, but we're putting this on YouTube. But we have a very special guest tonight to talk about her experience on Survivor 45. We have Katurah. Katurah, what's going on?
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you. When we heard that we were able to do this, I was freaking out internally, and I'm so excited that we're all here.
Yes.
This is our first postseason interview, like Isaiah said, with Survivor players. So I hope this is like, what a player, what a character for us to kick off this interviews with. But I am so happy. And Katurah, you were incredible out there. We are such big fans.
Sweet. Oh, you were so sweet to say it. I mean, honestly, this is my first extended post-game interview too. And so when I found out it was going to be with you guys, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like, I stand both of you already. So I'm super excited. Now, I don't know how this is going to go, but we're going to get through it the same way I got through that one game.
Well, I mean, after this season, it was, I think there were a lot of up and downs throughout the season, just with like the amount of twists. And that's something that happens in a lot of the new era seasons, something to be expected at this point. But Katurah, with everything going on, 4th place is nothing to scoff at. That was quite a feat for like a game with this many twists in it.
Yeah, I am torn between that type A lawyer, Virgo, Otis daughter, brown girl energy that's like, if you don't get it perfect, then it's not good. And then on the other side being like, I freaking played Survivor. And like, yeah, like I have to tell myself 4th place is really good. There's a lot of people that I respect who came in at 4th place. And so I'm really proud of the game I played. Obviously there's ups and downs and twists and things that are crazy. But yeah, when I look back at it, I'm totally proud of what I did out there.
Oh my God, as you should be. And before we get into this game that I agree you should be very, very proud of, I have to ask, how have you been since the finale aired?
Oh, wow. Well, the finale brought so many emotions, honestly. It's like a bundle of everything, right? I have so much joy because I'm with my whole cast together. We're watching the finale. It's so exciting. It's like, oh my God, this is our moment, right? And it's exciting to see a winner crowned. It's exciting to see a huge winner crown, like somebody who is going to represent our season. But then I'm also, grieving that the season's over, that is our finale, that I'm never going to be with these exact same people. There'll never be a season 45 again. You know what I mean? And like, I'm one of the people who is like, I have to watch my exit during the finale. Yes. So my castmates kind of had a little bit of, I would say a little bit of an advantage if you got voted out beforehand, because you had time to breathe and process your exit and then come to finale like, yay, we're just going to party. And I was like, I'm gonna drink this wine, but like, I gotta watch myself striking that damn flint and accept, everything that was happening. And the finale for me obviously had a lot of extra emotions because there was things there that I'm like, okay, I made mistakes at that point in the game. And so when I'm looking at the full context, there's just a lot of emotions going in. But what I will say is I love that I don't think you can watch Survivor 45 from day one all the way until the end, including the finale, without like seeing me fully. I really wanted to bring my full self to the game, and I feel like I did that. And like so much of my story is in Survivor. I really you guys got like a small glimpse of my story during the season, right? And I gave a little bit of my background, but even that really, really tiny part, you pretty much can tell like my life has been anything but ordinary. not even that. That's an understatement. Like it's been intense, like I've been raised in an extreme religious cult. Like it's a huge deal. And I was 13 years old, like engaged to a 68-year-old man, like cult leader. Like that's crazy. And if you just imagine what it feels like to be a 13-year-old girl, like thinking that's normal, right? Like this is my life. Like this is this was the world around me, and everybody was celebrating that, and this was a positive thing. And then eventually to leave that and to be like, whoa, that wasn't normal, that wasn't regular, it wasn't part of the world. And then bam, I'm also hit with all this other stuff about like who I am and my identity, right? Like those are all real things in my life, and those are just like the beginning parts of my life. So I knew going into Survivor that like I already have registered in my brain survival mode all the time. Like it's just in my body, it's in my instincts, right? No matter what I'm doing, if I'm trying to escape a religious cult, or trying to, go to college for the first time, or go to law school and I never knew any lawyers, like whatever I'm doing, I'm like, okay, we can figure it out, but you got to survive first. You got to make sure that you like get through just existing, like just make sure that your existence doesn't deter you, like people aren't affected by it. And so that has been always at the top of my mind. And so that's what got me so excited about going into Survivor. I was like, oh, I do this every day. Like this, when I said I practiced this for 30 years, I meant it. Like I felt like I'm born for that. Nobody else has this story. Nobody else has been surviving and had to have this survival instinct at the top of their brain since they were children, the way I have had. And so I really thought that was gonna, propel me through the game, and it ended up being a blessing and a curse. I know that's a lot. No, that's heavy, and not to throw it on you, but I say that to say, like, I did speak about this on Survivor for the first time ever in my life. And like now the cat's out the bag, I don't want to just kind of shy away from it, right? I do want to like, that's the full of me that I was trying to bring to the game. And it showed up in many ways.
Yeah. And that was beautifully, beautifully said. And I agree with you in a lot of ways that your story is so unique to the stories that we normally hear on Survivor, not just with your background story, but just like your story of the game as well, and how your life, your background back at home, and like how you grew up influenced a lot of the game and the story that we see of Katurah, the Survivor 45 player. I was just wondering, have you gotten the chance to see your fandom's reaction on social media, especially as like the different stages of the game went on?
Yeah, I have. And that's honestly why I'm able to speak about it so like confidently and clearly. It's because I got so much support when I was just open and honest. And I'm not even gonna lie, like I was in the game going back and forth all the time. Like, should I just not say this at all? Should I not talk about this? Right. But I was already hiding so much of myself and already pushing down and suppressing so much of myself and already in a space where I didn't feel like I had allies, and I felt like I was on the bottom for a long time. So there's so much that you're just holding inside. And I just kept thinking, you will not come to this freaking crazy, amazing experience and walk away without having changed something in your soul. Like, this is to set my soul on fire. I don't want to just do this. And, I literally said to myself in the game, like, God forbid, on the 1% chance I don't win. I was like, in case you don't win, because that's how sure I was like, I do this all the time. Like, I'm born for this. Like, there's nobody who has these skills more than me. And so I felt really confident that I was going to win, but I also wanted to win in other ways as well. Like I was like, I want to walk away and say my heart feels a little bit lighter. Like I want to learn a little bit more about myself. And so it's just been really cool to see the fandom in response to me, because, I had moments in the game where the Survivor universe let me know they were pissed at some of the things I did, and they are vocal, and they will find me and tweet me and DM me and message me and find my baby picture on Instagram from 20 years ago and be like, that's stupid, like they will let me know. And I've gotten better at like tuning out the negatives. But what I didn't expect after all of that negativity was just the flood of support that came in afterwards, and people rock with me, and I know the ones that do. Like I know the Katurah supporters, right? And like those are the people I rock with. Those are my people, those are my community. So when I'm making content, when I'm thinking about what's next, when I'm wanting to share more of myself, I'm doing it for them and with them in mind.
You know, Katurah, I mean, obviously you were such a fun personality, just character in general, inside and out the game. I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about the way your story ended on the show?
Yeah, I really liked it actually. I love the way the finale concluded. I felt really grateful that the final episode finally started to show a little bit of what I had been wanting to be shown the whole time, right? Like it's finally started to show, oh, Katurah was on the right side of every single vote after the merge. And not only that I was on the right side of it, but that I was instrumental in like helping orchestrate those votes. And so it was cool that that was finally clarified, because for a long time during the season, people would come up to me and be like, so were you a part of that or not? Did you know about this? Like, did this happen? Were you unaware? It was really unclear what sort of my relationships and the dynamics were between myself and other people. And so it was great that the finale had, major players like Dee and Austin being like, this is what Katurah's been doing, and this is why she's a threat, and this is why she's got to go. And so I was grateful for that sort of acknowledgement before the wrap up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And, we can't talk about Survivor 45 without talking about Reba, specifically the Reba 4. Big plot point of the season, especially as we get close to the end game and seeing that group starting to really fracture amongst them. But I'd love to know more about how you became tight with Reba, because despite you often voting with them in the post-merge, we didn't see the relationship discussed as much on screen. So I'd love to get like your account of what your relationship was like, particularly with that Reba 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another reason why I was so glad that the finale kind of had those little snippets, because the whole time I was like, what? Why are they not showing what? And there's some really delicious post-merge moments that I'm like, I was right there and I want a little credit for that too. So I do think my relationship with the Reba 4, and honestly, it's definitely with Reba generally, but I would say it's more with Dee and Julie, and then, Austin a little bit afterwards. I don't really feel like Drew and I had like a relationship in that manner during the game. But yeah, essentially the first half of the game was so rough for me. It was just incredibly difficult. There's no way around it. Those were some of the worst moments in the game for me before the merge. And I just remember feeling so excluded, so devalued, so apparent. Like it was so apparent that like Katurah is not a person who's going to offer us value, or at least that was the perception and that was the energy. And that's tough. That's tough to feel. That really low, devalued. Nobody's prioritizing you. Nobody's going to strategize with you. Nobody's going to talk to you about anything real and serious. And you're trying, right? Like I'm trying. Like I tried my damnedest, and I'm in my real life, I'm just a poor Black girl from Missouri, but I've been in spaces with millionaires, with legislators, with presidents, with CEOs, based on where I am now in the world. And I do that because I know how to navigate people. I know how to talk to different people and be able to maneuver different types of personalities. So I remember being like, why is this not working on Bellow? Like I'm given, you know what I mean? Like every scene you see me, I'm like, yes, we did it. Bellow's strong. We got it, guys. Like I'm giving all that I can give and trying to make every connection. And it's just simply not working. And we can talk more about the reasons why behind that. But by the time I hit day 12 and we got to the merge, and it was still like, okay, we're gonna give it one more try with Bellow because we can get these numbers, right? Put everything to the side, give it one more try, and it's still not working. I knew I had to flip. I knew I had to switch. And it's something about having to survive in the world alone that is so deep and so dark. And I know that. I know how hard it is to survive when you're by yourself, when you don't have a person, when you don't have one person that you could at least say, hey, girl, this is happening. You see this craziness too? Or, oh my God, this happened. Let's just think it through. Let's make a strategy. And so I knew that translates to real Survivor. You cannot go anywhere in the game of Survivor without an ally. You're not going to get far if you don't have at least some people in your corner. And so I reached a point where it was like, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to do the whole game alone. In fact, I want to play the game, and I can't play it if I'm just at the bottom of somebody's bottom. Like I wasn't even at the bottom. I was like at the bottom and like kicked at the bottom. You know, it was like, damn, like, you know, and I remember at the Caleb vote, I, you know, talked to D. I think I talked to D and Austin at the time. And I was like telling them, hey, you know, I'm ready. I've been trying. I'm ready to flip over. Jake's not with you, because they thought Jake was going to vote with them to get out Caleb. It was like, Jake's not with you. He's got his whole crazy plan. Why don't we do this? Let me switch over. I'm looking for a home. And I literally said those words. I'm looking for a home. I'm dying for a home. I'm dying to have anybody who will just play the game with me. Like, I'm feeling so worthless, and I'm not sure why or what I'm giving off that's saying, hey, Katurah, you need to be viewed as worthless. And we talked about it at length. And I will to this day always say D, Austin, and Julie's kindness pulled me in. They were just like kind people. And I remember being like, okay, clearly they're together, but I would much rather be with people who are kind and welcoming and pulling me in, so that I don't have to do this alone. And if that means like being alliance that's 2 degrees separated, that's way better than being somewhere where I already know. You've shown me time and time and time again for 14 days that you don't mess with me, and you're not going to ever mess with me. And so once we started that relationship, it was like, it was completely on. And it was so crazy, because I remember moments where we would strategize, and I would say to myself, like, oh, they're talking to me about strategy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. So they view me at, you know, like little things, because it's almost like the relationship where your boyfriend is so shitty for so long, and you've been like, babe, I'm just begging for some little tiny quality time. And then you meet a guy and he's like, yeah, I bought you a coffee. And you're like, whoa, oh my God, you know, like, wow, you really care about me. And so it was kind of that effect where I was like, I've been starved of give a fuck, you know. I don't mean to cuss, but yeah. And they would like, one day Austin was like, okay, Katurah, we think we want to have you do this on the challenge, because you're one of our strongest girls. And I'm like, you guys think I'm strong, you know? And I'm like, oh, nobody ever called me strong at Bellow, you know? And they're like, oh, Katurah, what do you think? Can we vote this person out? And I'm like, nobody ever asked me anything, you know? So it became like kindness, I think, started it. And then it was like, oh, actually, I remembered who I was, and they actually saw me for who I was. And I think it was like, once I got outside of that Bellow bubble, which had labeled me in this certain way, and I couldn't get out of that. Once I got away from that, that game felt amazing.
I wanted to ask you, Katurah, as we're talking about Bellow, I guess we can dive deep into that. So like, how would you describe your relationship with the other Bellow women?
Are you talking about now or in the game?
You could do both, you know.
Yeah, but well, I think like in game. Oh yeah, no, I was just saying, I think like in game context, since we're talking about, is important. But I'd love to know like what your current relationship is with them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, just to caveat, honestly, everything I say, and I think this applies for almost every single member on the cast, like 99.9% of everything I left at the game, you know, like I don't look at them and have these animosities. I don't have any negative feelings, right? There are things that I'm like, this is just part of the game, and it is what it is. And so right now, I would say I have a great relationship with the Bellow ladies. In fact, Kendra has always been my, like, you know, Kendra's going to be my road dog for life. Like, she just is. She's just that kind of down to earth, cool, real, genuine person. And you know, Kelly and I get along fine. Like, we're all great. We're all friends. But in the game, it was really clear really early on Bellow that, like, you know, the girls started this girls alliance, right? And this is me. I'm like, this is easy. Like, there's a girl here that's gay. Come on, I can make that relationship work, right? There's a girl that's Kendra, that she's cool as hell. I can make this work. And it did feel really natural that the three of us would be a Bellow girls alliance. But I want to say really early, like almost day like 3, 4. like it was pretty clear that Kelly was flipping and leaving the Girls Alliance and going over to the boys, which would be Bruce and Jake and Brando. Like that was pretty apparent all the time, so much so that Kendra and I would meet up constantly. I would say at least once a day and be like, do you think Kelly's really with us? I don't think Kelly's with us. You think she had Kelly's whip? And like, it wasn't hidden. It wasn't like, oh, maybe she's not. It was like, we knew that Bruce loved Kelly and he decided that she was going to be the one woman that he like pulled under his wing. And so she was like supposed to be going over there to get the information, but still being with us. But it was pretty clear that that wasn't, you know, I'm coming back to y'all. It was, I'm working with the boys. And I kept telling Kendra that. And it just, there really wasn't a her plan in the middle. It was her plan in the middle, but basically, you know, on the other side. And so once that happened, it put me in a really difficult situation because, you know, if Kelly is with the boys, that means they have a group of 4. That means Kendra and I on the outs of that. And, you know, we can get into me and Bruce's dynamic later on.
We have a question for that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm like, I already know. But, you know, just for this context, if the 4 of them together and Kendra and I are on the outs and that group is being led by Bruce, and Bruce is not ever, you know, from my view in the game, Bruce was not going to be pro Katurah at any point, in any way, at any time. Like it wasn't going to happen. So it's like, okay, if you're leaving my alliance to go with the leader who dislikes me, I don't really know how I can fit in with there. There really isn't a space to fit in there. And so I think that kind of caused a rift between us because I would say to Kendra, like, I totally get it. Like the name of the game at that point was who can smooth up to Bruce because he was leading that 4 alliance. And, you know, to her credit, Kendra did, you know, she had some concerns with Bruce too. I don't think the way he interacted with her was as harsh or aggressive as it was with me. He would just ignore her, which it is in itself like a terrible thing. But like that would be his thing for her. He would just literally ignore her. Like there's a scene where she's like, "Yay, Bruce, high five," and he just like turns the opposite way. Like he literally just. It was literally like Bruce had his woman, and that was it. Like he had the one woman that he was going to work with, and that was it. And so Kendra and I were kind of on the outs, like trying to like vie for his attention and approval. And I remember saying to her, like, I totally get it. Like, do what you need to do to preserve. Like, if you got to snooze up to him and he'll be more open to you than me, do it. Like, I don't want you on the outs. But it felt very clear that at some point it was like Katurah's the out and Kelly's in, but Kelly is even still more connected to Kendra than she is Katurah. And Kendra's trying to preserve herself. So she's going to get a little closer to Bruce. So the relationship kind of disintegrated rather quickly. And you know, when you're feeling the way I felt for so long, you try everything you can. You know, I'm always going to be a fighter. That's the only thing I know. All I know is survive, find a way, right? Like I'm never going to just lay down on the ground and be like, okay, I guess I'm on the bottom and I'm the one that's just accepting this treatment. Like, no, I'm going to keep fighting. I've always been a fighter. And it just felt like I kept fighting. And one of the tools I thought would help me would be going to the girls, going to Kelly and say, hey, you know, you're a girl. Are you seeing what's happening over here to me? Like, how does this feel to you? Like, this doesn't feel like some treatment that as a woman would be cool with, you know, pulling at any straw that I can to get somebody to say, hey, Katurah, I got you. I see you. And that wasn't really met with anything, really. It's just the way it is. You know, things are just happening right now. This is just how it is. That's just, you know, an older generation. And so I think that trust of our dynamic started to just kind of disappear, unfortunately.
Yeah. And since we already are kind of on the discussion, we know that your rivalry relationship with Bruce was a big plot point of the season, particularly in the first half here.
And I didn't want it to be.
I know. Katurah, we didn't want it. You didn't want it. I get it. I totally get it. But just wanted to know if you've discussed this with him any further postseason, or if, like, you know, how you reflect on it now. I'm just curious to know, like, what that looks like postseason.
Well, I guess there's two answers to that. So I'll start with the postseason and then just what are my reflections on it now. Yeah, I've reached out to Bruce. We've had a conversation. I think I reached out to him in preparation for his boot episode, and just a courtesy of, I know seeing yourself get booted off is hard, and I hope you're okay, and da 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 da. And we ended up having a conversation that I don't think either of us expected. It ended up being a very fruitful conversation, and I learned a lot more about who he is and why some of the actions that happened on the island happened. And so that was helpful for context. I think the goal for both of us is to hopefully reach a place where there's at least mutual understanding. I really did not want to have conflict with anybody. First, because I'm a Black girl, and I already know statistically I'm probably one of the lowest likelihoods of winning Survivor just being a Black woman. Like, it's not a coincidence that's only 2 Black women who've won in 45 seasons. So I already knew going in, you got to be extra careful, because Survivor is a reflection of the world and society. And in the world and in society, you got to be extra careful as a Black woman too. So I already knew having a conflict with anybody puts a huge target on me and a major red flag of alert. Can we just get rid of her? It's easy. She's causing conflict. She's angry. She's aggressive. You know what I mean? Like, I literally still got all of those negative terms, and I wanted to make sure I avoided them. And then also, I didn't want to have conflict with anybody, but particularly not with somebody who looks like me. Like, that's just not my vibe. That's not how I live my life. And so it wasn't an ideal situation, but I had to accept it is what it, you know what I mean? I had to accept that these were the cards. This was the scenario. Like, look, I'm a lawyer. I've been an attorney for almost a decade, and I'm not trying to brag, but I've worked at top law firms in the country, right? Before I was a civil rights lawyer, I was a corporate lawyer, and I worked at like the number 6 law firm in the country. Like, I've been around men. I've been around men who are associated with power, who feel powerful, right? Being a lawyer it's a male dominated field. It's like less than 2% of lawyers are Black women. So I couldn't be successful in my career and in my life if I wasn't able to navigate men who may be authoritative or domineering, or feel that they may be more powerful than you and you should take a lower position. I know how to handle them, right? Like, I'm a Black queer woman lawyer. I'm a masterclass in navigating men. Like, I know all parts of me is like, okay, well, how is a man gonna respond to this? How do we navigate it? And so I feel proud of my navigation of that. Like, that's something that I came into Survivor being like, this is a skill I got in my back pocket, right? I made sure that whatever I need to do to employ, if I need to flirt a little bit, if I need to be the ignorant girl who, oh my God, the sky is blue, thank you for telling me. Like, whatever tool I need to employ, I'll do it. And I tried all of them with Bruce, and none of them worked. And I kept hitting a wall. I kept being like, okay, well, maybe if I'm just super submissive, he'll be cool with it. Nope. Maybe if I just, pretend that I'm so happy and joyful all the time. Maybe if I'm rooting for it. Like, I try all the things, and I kept getting hit with no. I'm still not going to receive you in any positive way at all. And it was unfortunate, but at some point I just had to say, look, I got to find another way. It would be ideal if this wasn't the case, but it is. And I have to accept these are the cards that I'm giving, and I'm going to do what I always do. Is what I've been doing. And this is a place where my Survivor skills were helpful, because I was like, you got to find a way to get out of this. Now, I have my, own suspicions of what I triggered for him or what I represented to him that made him react to me in a different way than others. But really, that doesn't matter. Like, the why wasn't important. It was, okay, now what? You're here. He has these issues. It's coming out on you, and it's making the whole tribe follow him. And now you're at the bottom. Now what? What do you do? And there was a strong temptation to just lay down on the ground and cry. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I remember moments where I was like, okay, oh, so everybody's cool with this. Like, this is just the theme of my pregame. got it, you know, and you want to just like crawl in a fetal position and be like, it's not my fault. I'm not doing anything. And I think I said that a lot in my confessionals. I don't know if that got shown, but like, I would say like, I'm not doing anything. I don't know why. I'm being friendly. I'm Smiley McGee. Like I'm, you know, bonding with people. I'm telling you need a sad story to connect. Let's sad story. You want a rooting story? Let's root story. You know, Kelly says she's gay. I'm like, let's talk about gay bars in New York. Like I am doing it all and getting nowhere. And at some point I had to just say, oh, well, it is what it is. I tried. And when I wash my hands off it and I'm gone, I'm gone. So, because I got to focus on me and I got to survive another day. So I know there's moments where people were like, oh my God, you should have worked with Bruce later. Or you should. When someone shows you for 14 days, that they're not going to be receptive to you and that there's other things, you got to just accept it. I know I'm walking into the game bringing my own stuff. As much as I want to say I'm going to put some of my demons to the side and my traumas and my triggers, and I'm just going to come in and play the game, that's not realistic. We're humans. And I'm like, whatever he's bringing or whatever other things he has going on, this isn't the time for me to dissect it. I just got to get out the way so I don't get hit by his stray bullet. Or in Bruce's case, a direct bullet, because he was actively trying to take me out at all times. You know, I'm like, I could be aligned with Bruce and we're on the same page. And I'm like, suck it up, Katurah. Like today we are going to get the numbers. We're hitting the merge. And he'll just, you know, walk up. Now, why'd you vote for Caleb? And then you're like, okay, you know, I'm trying. I can only do so much. But for me, the priority was survive and save yourself. And so I couldn't dwell on it too much.
Mm-hmm.
Katurah, I will definitely say one more of your Bellow people, Jake, you know, like you specifically in the finale, kind of like it really showed like you had some struggles, like trusting him. We really wanted to know, was it like that the entire season or was it just like for that vote?
I like the way you put that. Oh, you had some struggle. Yeah. Oh, did it seem like that, Isaiah? You know, I love Jake so much. Jake is one of those people that even in the game, I was like, oh my God, he's so lovable. Like he's so lovable. So I never had a problem with him as a person. Honestly, even when I was on Bellow and all the issues I was feeling, I didn't ever feel like Jake was like directly doing them. I feel like he was just kind of there and maybe like a younger guy, you know, he's like a 26-year-old boy, you know, like I just don't think he was strategically thinking the way I was thinking. And so it was more of like, I don't trust Jake's judgment. I don't trust Jake's thought processes. I think I even said that on day one. Like I was like, I don't get strategic threatening vibes from Jake, and I don't, and I never did. It was more like, I enjoy you. You're an awesome person. You're cool to be around. But, you know, if you look at me and Jake's history, that whole ring ruse, you know, on New Lulu, that was started by Jake. That was led by Jake. And the reason it worked, and it was directed specifically for me, like it was only for Katurah. And the reason it worked is because Jake was, it was either a ring from his Nana or his girlfriend. And these are big people in his life and big people that I know are important to him. So, and he had lost his rings before and it was like a whole issue and he was crying and we were all like, oh my God. So it felt like even when I tried to open my heartstrings up to you, like you've shown me that that's what you'll use it against me. And then on top of that, right after that happens, you want me to go to Rocks for y'all. Like you want me to go have a 1 in 3 chance of leaving the game and go to Rocks at final 12. And so that, like, my brain was literally like, I don't trust Jake's brain. Like that's really, it was like, if you wanted me to do this, don't tell me about that ruse. Don't tell me about the ring and then asking me to do this. And also asking me to do this is illogical. Like it's a stretch on a good day. But on a day where you just told me about this really low emotional moment that was intentionally to withhold the one thing in Survivor that's the most important, which is information. Like you took away trust and information from me. And so that's our history. And me just thinking, why would you even play why would you make that play that way? And then again, when Drew was getting voted out, Jake was like, I don't want you to tell D, it was 6 of us. And he was like, let's just split it and we'll go 6, 3, and 3. And I'm like, again, like, why would we do that when we could have 4 votes and get them out for sure? So there were multiple moments in the game where Jake would suggest something and I would be like, that's not, no. Like, you know what I mean? And I would be, that's kind of where we were. So when we got to the D vote at the final 5, I was already frustrated that it took me all day to convince him that we need to prioritize getting out D instead of Julie. Like, it took hours. It was long. It was all day. And he was so adamant about Julie. And I kept, explaining, and to his credit, he did eventually come around and be like, okay, got it. D is a bigger threat here. Like, we got to get D out. But the fact that it took so long to convince him kind of reiterated in my mind, I don't trust this person's thought processes. And I knew Jake was very desperate for a big move. Jake has big move itis like nobody's business. Like, he is dying for a big move. And so we're at the final 5. I'm like, he's going to try to make a big move. This is exactly what I said to myself. He is going to try to make a big move, and it's going to be an illogical big move, and it's going to backfire on me. And that's what I didn't trust. And so when I'm looking at him, I'm like, can I be sure that you're just going to stick to the plan? Can I be absolutely sure that whatever we say right now, you'll do? And, this is kind of where I think, like, my real life experiences come back into the game, because the way I've lived, my survival instinct is key. Like, the good news is all of that crap that's happened in my life, it just means that I have a really sharp survival instinct. Like, it's sharp. It comes out quick, and it's hard. It's loud. And so if you're lying to me, it's like ding, 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 ding in my ear. And usually that's what I need. It's like how I survive life, right? But that instinct is going to come out if you're lying. It's going to come out even stronger when it's somebody I already know I can't trust. And it's going to come out even stronger when it's somebody who has lied to me, shown me they can't trust me, and participated in things that have made me feel excluded. And on top of that, I don't trust your thought processes. So it was like every alarm bell in my body was saying, Jake's up to something. He's lying. Something's going to happen, and it's not going to be smart at all. And it was kind of right. Like, I was obviously wrong about what he was hiding. He was still going to vote with me, but I wasn't wrong that he was lying to me. And I wasn't wrong that he was hiding something. And I wasn't wrong that the thing that he thought would be a great idea is something that if I heard it, I'd be like, no, why would you do that? Because in my mind, you never tell people when they're about to get blindsided, because somebody who's afraid and thinking they're going to go home, that's the most dangerous moment. That's somebody who feels backed against the corner. They're liable to do anything when you're backed against the corner. And that's what I felt. I felt backed against the corner. I felt Jake's lying. He's going to try to do something exciting. And in reality, everybody's going to write my name down. And, let me just be clear. I own that mistake. I do own it. I eat it 100%. That's a Katurah. You let fear take over. And, that's 30 plus years of being like, when we have the ding, ding, ding alarm, we listen to it and it saved our lives. And it didn't need to be used this time. And that's kind of like the beauty of Survivor. It like shows you these areas. Like, I didn't know my survival instinct was so strong that it's going to kick in even when I don't need it to, because in that moment I should have been thinking not about survival, but winning. Right. And it doesn't matter if I don't survive. It doesn't matter if I write down D and they all are voting against me and I get out the game, because at least I did the move that I needed to do to win. That's in hindsight. In the moment, I'm looking at this person who's lied to me before, who I don't feel is trustworthy, who I can't trust in this moment. That's why I kept saying, put it on something, put it on your Nana, I wanted to believe him, but I can't go. It was believe Jake or listen to my body. And my body's going to win.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very, very fair, I will say. Because I feel like watching that, I was like going through the anxiety with you of like, what is going on right now? What is happening here?
Yeah.
Oh, such a good season. Just a good
Such a
finale
good
overall.
season, right?
Yes.
So deep. Like even watching it myself, I'm like, no.
Oh, but it was so
tough.
many twists and turns in that finale, and you think like you have an idea of how things are gonna go, and I was like, never mind, I don't know anything. So
Yeah. And I even remember too, like when Julie left at Final Five, like when I switched my vote and Julie left, then that moment when Jeff snuffed her torch, I said, I lost the game. Like I knew it at 5. I was like, you fucked up. You lost the game right then. But I'm so used, I don't know, I'm so used to being in the most impossible of situations and finding a way. Like Katurah can do it. Like this isn't normal. Most people would crack under this, but Katurah can do it, right? Like that's my motto. That's been my life. That's how I'm here. That's how I'm able to be successful. I'm Katurah. I can do it. And I remember saying, okay, well, shoot, if Julie's gone now, maybe I'll win at 4 and I'll put D in fire with Austin and then she'll leave. You know what I mean? I kept trying to think if there's any other way around it. And then watching it back, you just gotta accept what it is. Like, sure, in the moment, if I had clarity and this wasn't somebody who was a part of that beginning tribe and all these bad decisions and all these issues that me and Jake had in our relationship, maybe it would have been different. But when I look at that moment, I'm like, I see me, and I see a girl that was scared and that said, like, right now, all I know is you got to at least be here another day. You got to at least survive. And that's been my motto the whole time. And it's worked with me 18,000 times before. Maybe it'll work now. And it just didn't. It just didn't. But
it got you very far, though, and
it got me far. Yeah, and that's why I'm like, I know there's a portion of the internet that wants me to like beat myself up about it, and I'm like,
no,
I can't though, because first of all, talk to me when you did it and got as far as I got. You know what I'm saying?
How are you hating from outside the club when you can't even get in?
Exactly. I'm only taking in, criticism from people final 3 and up, first of all. And then secondly, it's like, man, it was so bleak on Bellow. I don't even think it's clear. I don't even think people understand how bleak it was on Bellow. Like, it was like, I knew if we went to tribal, it was me, and it could be in my head. It could not be, right? Like, different people may say different things and, it would have been Bruce, but the actions and the energy and the way I was being, interacting with other people really made me feel like it was going to be me. And so to remember being like, it's day 7. And if we go to tribal, they're for sure going to vote me out. And like having that feeling carry you around for all those days, and then constantly have things that like reiterate that what you're feeling isn't crazy. Like, oh, okay, y'all all do this. Y'all just walk away and leave without me. Got it. Like, oh, okay, y'all just find idols for Bruce and not talk. It was like, got it. Okay, got it. Like, and it even watching the show, I saw things that I didn't see. Like, I didn't know that Kelly was, holding, keeping the lookout while they were finding Bruce's idol. And like, everybody's saying, oh, Katurah is so sloppy. How dare she look for an idol? And it's like, these are my reactions to being literally at the bottom. And I'm never going to apologize for fighting. I'm never going to just lay down and die. Like, come on. If I try to get in 18 different ways and I'm not getting in, I'm looking for an idol. I'm trying to who wins tribe swap. Because I'm trying to connect, it just so happened that by day 7, I was like, Jesus, give me a tribe swap. Give me a tribe. Because I reached the point where I knew it's not me. Like, I'm trying, and whatever's happening here, it's not letting me in. So I was like, as soon as I get a tribe swap, I'll be good. And then tribe swap happened. It was the exact same people. and it was like my one little tiny glimmer of hope and support, Kendra, was gone. So it was like I'm back with all Bellow and just no Kendra and no my support. And so, those days were rough. And so to know that I pushed through and I outlasted all of them with the exception of Jake, it's like I can't get mad at my survival instincts for kicking in. Now I know next time, let them kick in, and then stop and pull the trigger when you need to. And that's my lesson.
Yeah. And I kind of going off of that, I know we've talked about it a little bit extensively already, but what do you feel like was the difference in your game pre-merge and post-merge? Like I know you had more options in post-merge, but do you feel like you were actually able to play more to your potential? What was that change like for you?
Post-merge was night and day. Oh my God. I mean, I was actually in the game. It wasn't that I had more options. I created options. Like when I first approached Reba, I remember they were like, I don't know. We don't know about you. Like, are you sure? And I was like, look, I will do what I need to do to show you that I'm with you if you show me that this is actually a safe space for me. And so like when the Kelly blindside happened, so after we took out Caleb, the very next vote was Kelly. And I remember we were planning to do Bruce and Jake. And Reba was like, we're going to show you Katurah. We'll do Bruce and Jake so you can see that, we are with you. And I'm like, cool. Like, it's a very new relationship. And we're trying to see if it works. And I think Bruce got immunity or somebody had an idol or something, whatever it was. But Bruce and Jake were both risky votes and we weren't going to do it. And I just was like, oh, I want to name another Bellow person. But the relationship's so new with Reba, I don't know. I'm scarred. My last relationship burned me. I'm still like, nah. And Dee came to me and she was like, okay, I want to let you know that I'm like with you. I got you. Here's what we're thinking. Would you be okay with Kelly? And I was like, I've been dying for you to say that. Like, oh my God, yes. Like, and it was such a moment of being like, okay, now I can play because, Dee and Kelly were actually pretty close too. And so, I was very cautious. Like, I don't want to say Kelly and then Dee tells her and now Bellow just literally needs a reason to be like, aha, and that's why we don't like Katurah. You know what I mean? So I was like, let me not give them any ammunition. So I was really cautious. But when she said that, it was like she was showing me that no, I'm dead. I'm serious. I'm with you. And I was able to say, I'm serious about what we're doing here too. And I genuinely was. Like, I always knew I got to cut Rebus at some point. But I'm like, if this is the train that I need to sit on to get to that point, then I'll sit on this train. And so I remember, me, Dee, and Julie, like jumping up and down, being like, oh my God, okay, it's going to be Kelly. It's going to be Kelly. And I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. They're like, oh, Katurah, you're going to vote with us. And I'm like, no, why don't we do this? Y'all vote. You got enough with Emily. Let me vote with Jake so that Bellow has no idea that I am flipping with you guys. And that way I can be inside and help make everybody comfortable, make sure that we get these people out. Because at that point, I know I can't work with Bellow. Bellow's not going to work with me. And so really there's no benefit for them to be in the game with me. Plus Kelly's a major threat. So she's got to go anyway. So it was win-win-win on all sides. And I remember Kelly was talking to me and Kendra. They always go back to our Bellow girls. She was so nervous. I think they might vote for me tonight. And Kendra, didn't know that we were going to blindside Kelly. So Kendra is just being, Kendra, where she's just so sweet and intense. She's like, absolutely not. No, that is not going to happen. And I'm just taking Kendra's lead. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, no, of course not. Come on. That would never happen. And so, as I'm saying it and soothing her, my heart's beating out of control because for a very long time, this has been the power source, right? These have been the people who I'm like, snuggle up to Kelly, snuggle up to Bruce. Even if I don't want to, I have to for my own survival. So now I'm like on the other side and I'm like, am I playing the game? Like, am I playing Survivor? And I'm like, Lord, please let this blindside work. And so when it happened and Kelly was shocked and like it went successful. And then at the end of that, we're leaving, when Jeff says, take your torch and, go back to camp. Dee, Julie, and I are walking in a row and we can't talk. So Dee just reaches out and me and Julie and we all grab hands and we're like, Like it happened. And that was the moment I'm like, I'm playing the game.
Yes.
It was like, I'm up. I'm awake now. I was sleeping. I was in just, protect yourself mode. Just, is Bruce going to try to attack me? Is Bruce going to say, you know what I mean? Like, is Bellow going to, I thought I was to Bellow what Jay was to Reba. They're disposable. You need somebody to sacrifice. Well, give her up in a second. That's what I felt. And I strongly believe if I wasn't safe at the merge vote, I would have been the J, right? Like that the easy throw it up on a platter kind of person. And so now to see me transition and I'm 180 and I'm helping lead, blindsides, baby, I'm in it. Like I felt good. So that was the feeling I had post merge. And that's what we did for everyone. We met, we talked about the Kendra vote. We met and talked about Bruce vote. We met like every single one. And it felt like I was really in it. Because, that's the game, but like it's so much stuff happening. Like I'm battling the elements, you're battling your own demons, like it's just so much that's going on that when you finally get that little piece of relief, little piece of, okay, I don't have to stress, I don't have to worry, like, do they actually think I'm intellectually capable of strategizing? It just takes a weight off of you. And I love that.
Awesome.
I feel like I'm too long-winded for y'all. Am I too long?
No, we love it.
Okay.
I'm like, am I losing you? Like, let me know.
No, oh my God, we love it. Yes.
I was literally about to say you've answered so many of our questions. I don't even have to ask them at this point. So I was like, okay, bet. Like, check this off. So we are getting to like the end portion of it. Like, great interview, by the way. Like, this is amazing.
Oh, thank you. He's so passionate about this game. I love this game. Like,
this is awesome. We wanted to know. So, what are some of your favorite? What is your favorite moment from the season that was seen or not even seen on camera? Like, it can be anything.
Oh, damn, I actually do think I just answered that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it was definitely after the Kelly blindside when Dee and Julie and I were walking back to camp afterwards and just kind of silently grabbed each other's hand and held it. And it wasn't like, oh my God, I want to see Kelly's downfall, right? But it was like, I get to play the game. This is good gameplay. This is actually being taken seriously, being viewed as somebody who could be an equal and pulled in, because I knew I was going into the game lying about my profession. And that was all to diminish myself and shrink myself down. Because again, I didn't think I was going to get far saying, look, I'm this top New York City lawyer and I'm been doing this for so long. Like I already knew that wasn't going to get me far. So I knew I was shrinking myself. But what I didn't expect is just how comfortable they would be with taking me even lower. Like it was like, damn, I expected to be like, oh, she's a small town Missouri girl, like, dismiss me a little bit, but like it was like, damn, like y'all really don't even think I'm capable of strategy, like, it was kind of that energy. And it was like I already had to shrink myself just to play this game, which is infuriating in and of itself. Like it's frustrating to say I have to think, reduce yourself to your lowest level for people to take you far in the game. Meanwhile, there's people who are like, I'm so glad I'm an Ivy Leaguer and boasting about it and proud about it, right? So it is frustrating that that's what I had to do. But it's even more frustrating to think, if I strip off all my fancy titles and I'm just myself, they'll just take me as a regular girl. But in reality, it was like, oh, damn, y'all were so comfortable seeing me as somebody so low. And so that was very difficult. And it just reminded me of a very difficult time in my life. And so to be able to feel myself on the other side of that, it felt like how I am in real life. It felt like when I think about some of my beginnings and how low and dark those days were, and then I see myself like, walking down the street in Brooklyn being like, okay, killing the game, working at the #1 civil rights law firm in the country. Like, I'm like, okay, we did it. We survived again. And that's kind of what I was feeling. Like, you know what? You always survive. And that's kind of what I felt like from the game. Like, Katurah will always survive. I'm always going to find a way. And so being on the other side and being able to make those moves, it felt really good.
All right, I have to ask because I've been wanting to ask this all interview. And
okay, now let me take a sip.
Yes. All right, if given the opportunity, would you play again?
Oh my God, Gia.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if I should be offended or I guess intrigued. I don't know. I'm leaning towards offended though.
No.
Hell yes! I'm
Yes.
like, flying, please
Yes.
get me back out there. Like, I'm like, oh my! And even when I left in Fire, and right after you leave the game, the producers like, how do you feel? Like, are you okay? Like, when they want to do a little exit interview with you. I couldn't even complete it. I was just sobbing the whole time. I was just like, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I messed it up, because the game that I had in mind was that I never would have even had to go to Fire. I wasn't coming in with ego and I don't want to get taken to Final 3. No, baby, take me. I'll gladly say yes, take Katurah. Because when I get there and start talking, you're gonna be like, oh shit, I shouldn't have took Katurah. Like, that's what I want.
Yes.
I was trying to go that Marianne route, that Gabler route, that Erica route. Like, that was the way I modeled my game. And so the fact that I found myself not only making a bad move at 5, but then also being in Fire and not being able to fulfill Fire, which I also thought I would be able to do. I won't lie, I'm one of those people before I played the game. I'm one of those couch people who'd be like, and if you can't do a Fire, then your ass doesn't do it anyway. I've always said that 100 times over before the game, which is why I practiced Fire a lot before I went. And like, I'm telling you, I made so many Fires in like 5 seconds. And then the day of, when it matters the most, couldn't even get a single spark. Just
so frustrating.
I was like, you got to be kidding me, Lord. Like, but maybe I think in hindsight, maybe that was the universe looking out for me, because I knew I wasn't delusional. I knew if I sat beside D in Final 3, I lose. So it didn't even matter if I made Fire successfully. Sitting beside D, I lose. And that's what was so frustrating, because I said that to Austin and I said that to Julie. I said those exact words. I said, you can't win beside D. And, Julie looked me in the eye and said, I know. And I still can't vote her out. And so it was just like all these factors that just, added a little bit of frustration to the pot, where I'm like, okay, I'm learning now that if you get to the end, you need to get to the end with people who can actually help you execute the things that you need, and people that you can actually trust, of course. And you need to be able to put fear aside and make the big move when it's needed. But I say all that to say, hell yes. I would back 1,000 times. Once I got through my crying, I was like, please, Jeff, please let me try again. Because, I think all Survivor players think this, but it's like, if I just went right here instead of left there, I was right there, So I don't know. I love this game. So I will play this game in a heartbeat, in a second, anytime. I love the people. I love my cast. I love just all the experiences have all taught me something. So yeah, bring me back. Yes. I'm running.
Well, listen, if it's a second chances ballot, a petition, whatever you need me to sign, we're signing it. Yes.
Send it around.
Yes. Tell my friends.
Yes.
Well, that's all of our time, and we've gotten through all of our questions. So this was an amazing interview, Katurah. Thank you so much. Obviously, for coming on and everything. I just want to give you the opportunity. Is there anything you wanted to plug or anything you got coming up? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, well, sorry, my phone is dinging all over.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what this is, but yes. So I am starting a YouTube channel, actually. I learned just so much. Just so many good things happen from sharing my story and being able to release that weight. And the crazy thing is, so many people have responded with similar stories and things that I didn't even think people could connect to or resonate with, and they did. So I'm starting a YouTube channel to share my Survivor experience. I'm going to go through the episodes. I'm going to talk more about my story, connect with other people's stories. So yeah, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's just Katurah Topps, so you can find it pretty easily. And good things are coming.
Make sure to text it to me. I'll put it in the description for you.
Okay, absolutely.
Awesome. But
her TikTok is great, so I highly recommend.
Oh, thank you. And honestly, I had so much fun with you guys. You were awesome. Like, this was, I'm smiling at the end of this interview, and we were talking for an hour and it doesn't even feel like it. So thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Katurah. This was incredible.
Bye.
Bye.